What you are listening to is real. The participants are not actors. They are actual litigants with a case pending in the squared circle. Both parties have agreed to dismiss their cases and have their disputes settled here in our forum, the Turnbuckle Debate.
Hey everyone, welcome back to the Turnbuckle Debate. My name is Sneed.
I'm Chad.
I'm Colton.
And our guest returning for his second visit here at the Turnbuckle Debate, the owner and promoter for Pro-Wrestling Conquest, Derek Stowers. What's going on, man?
Hey, what's up, guys? How are you all?
Good, man. We're pumped to have you on here. This airs on Monday, the 13th. This will be the 13th. So this Friday, man, big show for you guys. Tell us a little bit about what's going on.
Yeah, so it's Pro Wrestling Conquest. Sorry about the wait. The sorry about the wait comes in. This is our return from from previous March. So we haven't been here in a year. All year, people were messaging me, hey, when are you guys coming back? We miss you guys. Our kids miss you. So when I came back, I just wanted to tell everybody, sorry about the wait.
That's a great title.
I love the title, man.
Love that name.
The poster for the event's great. The title's great. I'm looking forward to it, man. There's a couple of promotions around here that run here in Charleston, West Virginia, that run good shows, and you guys are at the top of that.
Thank you.
Definitely.
So you guys got a big is it the main event for the world title with Matt Justice, Levi Everett, and Facade?
Yeah, that will close the show, not only just because it's for the championship, but also because it'll probably take us most of the night to clean up after it.
Yeah, they're going to destroy the place.
Yeah.
Sounds about right with those three guys. And then we have a big tag match, too. We have the Outrunners and the Money Shot
for the tag titles. That'll be a good one. Friends of the show, the Outrunners.
Yeah,
I'm pulling
man.
for them.
We posted today 2 professional wrestling tag teams, and I put an emphasis on professional because both of these teams are world class. I mean, they're both doing everything that a professional wrestler, and again, emphasis on professional, is supposed to do. They're both in the gym every day. They're both hitting the road constantly, and they are tip top when it comes to tag teams. So we're thrilled to have this showcase our tag team championship.
And the Outrunners do something that I think is lost in the art of tag team. They have matching gear and a great gimmick.
Yeah.
That's something you just don't see in the tag team division. But we have a lot to talk about, and tag teams is going to kick us off tonight.
Yeah.
So are you guys ready to get into some debates?
Let's do it.
Let's go.
Let's do it. All right. First topic of the evening. Do the GUNNS deserve their spot? So we're talking about Austin and Colton Gunn, the sons of WWE Hall of Famer and current AEW star Billy Gunn. They are the current tag team champions, and a lot of people don't think they deserve their spot. So I thought it was a good time to talk about that. Do they deserve their spot?
Man, I'll start us off. I think if you'd asked me if we try to put the belts on these guys 3-4 months ago, I would have said absolutely not. But I think they've proved, man, that they're top tier talent. Like, they're both good in the ring. I mean, what do you expect? They're Billy's kids, like he's been on them their entire lives. Like, you got to have like some level of expectation for them coming in like that. But they're good heels, man. Like, they're the storyline, they're shitty, angsty little kids that are mad at their dad. Like, it plays well. Like, I mean, and I think there's a lot of people, I think it's easy to take that opinion, especially as a fan, that, oh, there's Billy's kids. The only reason they're in the spot they are is because of who their dad is. I mean, sure, it has some impact, but like, there's a lot of second generation superstars that don't have the level of talent that these guys do. And I think hopefully after what we just saw on Revolution, them going into this program with FTR. I like that. That's bringing it full circle. It's some long-term storytelling with how, they kind of came out and jumped them after their last match with the Briscoes. I think hopefully this program will change some minds. So yeah, I think they deserve their spot for sure.
Yeah, I think they deserve their spot too. And I think for me, I mean, I've been high on them for a long time. Austin, especially. They during the pandemic, I think that's when they earned their spot, especially Austin. Which Colton is a lot. He started a little later than what Austin did. But I think they definitely deserve their spot. I think the reason that they get the reason people say they don't is because they say they're Billy's kid. And I get, that's a bad stigma to have, but they have came out and proven themselves. They're great heels. Absolutely. They deserve their spot.
Yeah. I think they, I don't know if they earned their spot during the pandemic. I mean, Austin was definitely the guy ringside rallying the crowd and getting everyone hyped and all of that. But as far as right now, I think they've definitely earned their spot. I think they've put the time in. They sell their ass off as far as they sell better than almost anyone on the roster. They're right at the top. And I think their showmanship with both of these guys, they get it. The whole they wouldn't be there if it wasn't for Billy Gunn. I don't buy that shit. That only gets you so far. We've seen so many second generation people try and fail at this. You have to have something else. Maybe that gets your foot in the door. Maybe that makes it a little easier where you don't have to hit the roads as hard on the independent scene. But still, yeah, this is national TV. There's money on the line. If you're not doing something that's drawing in audience, there's 2 hours on Dynamite. If you're not pulling eyes in, if they're not seeing kind of the reward on the back end that we don't see, they're not going to put you on TV. Obviously they've been doing something. I just think people have this idea of them as good when they were the cookie cutter. They were part of Cody's Nightmare Factory. They were in the trios with Billy. I think they still have that stigma. And I think when they turned and they did the full heel turn, I love that. And I think a lot of people talk out of both sides of their mouths when it comes to fans. They bitch about WWE people getting opportunities or getting pushed in AEW. You should focus on your young talent. And then when they do focus on young talent, they'll bitch about that too. A lot of times people talk out of both sides of their mouths with this. I think they're great heels. They do what they're supposed to do. They irritate people. I love the Guns.
Well, it's unanimous then. I'm with you guys. I think they deserve it. I've loved the Guns. Well, I don't know. Love may be a strong word, but I thought that the Guns have done a really good job every chance they've been on TV. Maybe the reason people think they don't deserve it is because the reign seems to have almost came out of nowhere. They didn't do a ton with them for a long time, and now they're the champions. But I think they're awesome. They do all the little things right. They're great heels. They're great athletes. They look good. They've got the second generation thing going for them. And not only that, with the Acclaimed getting as big as they were and Billy being with them, it was just a natural feud. So going with the Guns as the champs, not only that, it creates so many fresh matchups for AEW too. I mean, I think it's great to put it on them and solidify another homegrown tag team instead of depending on somebody who may have came from somewhere else. I think they can carry it for sure.
I think that's a good point you brought up with the Acclaim too, because I forgot about that. I think a lot of the hate the Guns are getting is kind of based off of the love of the Acclaimed.
Yeah.
And the fans are getting worked and not even realizing it. Because the Acclaimed are so popular, the most popular acts in AEW. And then these two little sniveling shits take the titles from them and people are mad about it. But I think it did exactly what they wanted it to do.
Exactly. So maybe if they wanted to wait to put it on them, they could have. But the Acclaimed and the Guns taking it from them, I think is great. And I think both guys are good enough to carry the championships.
And Chad, you brought up a point too, talking about pushing your young talent. You do hear a lot of people talk about, not building talent, but then when they do, they bitch about it. What are you supposed to do? The company's 4 years old. How are you supposed to build any type of talent that's gonna reign supreme over older talent?
Right.
You can't depend on those older, I guess you can't depend on your Jeff Jarrett's all the time.
Yeah,
you shouldn't, at least.
Exactly. But
Yeah.
that's a thing that when people shit on Jeff Jarrett being in this company, that's where I kind of push back on it, because I always say it's like building a football team. When you build a football team, you got to have your young rookies that are promising. You've got to have those kind of stalwarts in the middle that are in the prime doing their thing, and you've got to have, the locker room leaders, the veterans, to help guys like the GUNNS, to help guys like the Acclaimed. If you don't think the Acclaimed being in the ring with a Jeff Jarrett or having talks with Jeff Jarrett in the back isn't doing something for those young guys, you're an idiot.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, you're an idiot. If you think like having people like that around is bad, even if he's in, like, dude, not everyone's hardcore fans. You know what I mean? Like, there are some people, if they're flipping through the channels and they see some guy in pink tights and they don't know who he is, but holy shit, that's Double J. I remember Double J. They might sit and watch the match and get pulled into it. Like, not everyone's keeping up on every single young guy wanting to see, no names. They attach to those people they grew up with. So I always support giving, as long as they're not going the WCW route and like throwing titles on old guys and really pushing it like that.
Yeah.
I think it's good.
Well, Chad, I think you hit the nail on the head when you said that, fans are getting worked and they don't even realize it. Like, yeah, obviously a lot of this heat's coming from how over the Acclaimed are. I mean, the Acclaimed are so over, they don't need the belts right now, man. I mean, look at them. Their entrance at Revolution still blows the roof off the crowd. They don't need the belts at this point. And I mean, it seems like, especially after FTR coming back, that they're using the GUNNS as somewhat as transitional champions anyways, which I think is perfect way to have them run it. Now, I mean, if the move was setting them up to have the GUNNS be, like an 8-month reign of terror, then yeah, I might have a little bit different opinion on whether they deserve that spot. I don't think they are ready for that. I think they're, like everybody said, they're great heels, and I think they'll be perfect transitional champions. And I think they'll do a really good job in a feud with FTR. Personally, I'm excited to see that story play out.
Yep, I'm with you. I think putting the belts on them helped elevate them. A feud with FTR, even if FTR takes the belts, will elevate them even more. Even if they lose them, they've always got that claim of former tag team champions. I mean, these kids are going in the right direction for sure.
Do you guys think, before we move on, do you guys think that the Acclaimed should have won those titles back? Because I've heard several people say, they should have got the titles back from the GUNNS.
I don't think they need them that quick. I don't think they need them, period, right now.
I don't either.
Over. And that would have just been too quick for me. Like, if they'd put them back on them that soon, then what's the point of having the GUNNS win them at all, to me? Especially since you didn't have Billy turn on the Acclaim to go back with his match.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, so, I mean, I'm still interested to see if anything like that ever play out. So I appreciated they didn't, do it exactly how we all thought they were going to do it.
No, I think they did it perfect. I don't think the Acclaimed, they don't need those belts. And if you're going to, if you would have put those back on the Acclaimed and then brought FTR back, what story do you have there?
I'm just a sucker for babyface tag teams chasing titles. Yeah. I like holding the gold and the babyface chasing that title. That's when I'm most invested in storylines, I think. Once a babyface gets the gold, it's tricky to keep it interesting, I think, unless you're like on this dominant streak. Like when Mox had it, they kept it interesting with the feuds, but like, I don't know, man. I always think the babyface fighting from underneath is always what I gravitate towards.
I think it'll be fun too when the GUNNS lose those belts, and they do. I hope that they just overuse the former tag team, the former tag.
Well, they
team
can
champs.
hold. That's what I love about this coming feud with FTR is they can claim they hold a win over them because they got that cheap win over them before FTR went off on their little 2-month vacation.
And they had some good stuff too before that. They had the in-ring,
The funeral
for them. They had the run-in at ROH.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know. I'm all in on the Gun Club though.
Yeah.
Or the Gun.
Yeah.
Same here. And with them holding the belt, with FTR coming back in, I mean, what better than to put them against a heel team that actually has some heat, and the Guns do.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I think it'll be a lot of fun.
Yeah.
All right. Does anybody have any final thoughts before we move on?
They're still the ass boys to me.
yeah, the ass boys. I love that.
I love that the pay-per-view. Did you see the paper they put on the chairs?
Yeah.
Telling that the crowd that if they chanted ass boys, they were going to be escorted out.
Yeah, it was from the Guns.
I missed that. That's awesome.
It was on all the Revolution branded chairs.
But, I don't think it even said that they would be escorted out. I think it said that we will ask security to escort you out.
yeah.
So good, man. All right. Well, if you guys are ready, we'll move on to our second topic.
Let's do it.
Second topic of the evening. What is the number 3 promotion? Now we have the big 2. We have AEW and WWE. What is the third biggest promotion? Now, Derek, this is the topic that you brought to the table, so I'll defer to you to go first.
Well, I'm not sure. I was hoping to hear your guys' arguments because I'm still, my mind's not made up. I'm not sure I can make an argument for any of them. So
I feel the same way. I think I'm going to go Impact. I mean, I have to go Impact. I think they have the benefit of having a little bit more exposure than the other 3. Although MLW with this new Reels deal, it looks like they are going to get a little close to the exposure level of an Impact Wrestling, but I think the MLW Peacock deal, or not MLW Peacock, the Reels Peacock deal could end up screwing them out of that, where Peacock is attached to WWE. They're possibly not going to be showing MLW anymore. I think GCW, as far as like the attitude and the following, the rabid fan base, it has you could pitch that to me as them being a third promotion. The only thing with them is they don't have weekly TV. They don't have weekly TV where I can follow their storylines and really get invested, which makes them more of a live product.
Yep.
I mean, I get their pay-per-views, I watch them, but I think they're definitely more focused on just being like the perennial independent live show. NWA is good. I think their booking needs a little love. I love them before the pandemic hit. I think they've still been struggling with Bully and Matt Cardona there, trying to bring a little more eyes to them. I think it's doing wonders for them. But Impact Wrestling, man, if you just go down the roster, they have the best roster. They have great storytelling. They're doing something unique. They have the best production value of the 4 we're mentioning here. I'm not considering, I took this question as North American promotions because I think once you bring in New Japan, it's a whole other animal. I think New Japan globally is probably the definite number 3, but in America, I got to go Impact.
I took the question the exact same way. I was about to say, if we're New Japan off the table here. So I'm
right.
Yeah.
I
got to agree, man. I mean, it's been Impact for me for a long time. I'm very impressed with their product, not to slight MLW, GCW, or NWA in any way, shape, or form. But like you said, they have the benefit of weekly TV, established weekly TV. Like they've been on Access for a while. They're not getting lost in the shuffle like Ring of Honor was there for so long, with Sinclair coming on at 3:00 in the morning on God knows what channel. You know what I mean? Like they've got a platform that people can access pretty easily. I think they have been the most consistent. I think they're in first place in most consistent storytelling and product over the last 2 years of any wrestling promotion. Like,
yeah, there's an argument there for sure.
They are. It's a very, very consistent product. You get a lot of peaks and valleys in both AEW and WWE, and I feel like Impact is just kind of pound for pound. They do a lot of long-term storytelling. So, like, I've been to 4. They've been coming through Louisville a lot lately, which has been a lot of fun. They're doing shows at this place called Paris Town Hall, which is a relatively new venue here in town in the last couple of years. It's been there for a long time, but a local production company reopened it and redid it, and it's got quite a facelift. And it's a great room for wrestling, man. And I've been to 4 shows in the last year and a half, 2 years here, and like I don't miss one. They usually come and do 2 days. They'll do a pay-per-view and they'll do a TV taping for the following week. Only time I don't go to both shows is if AEW's got a pay-per-view during the TV taping, which more often than at least once a year happens. But I mean, yeah, you go down the roster. I mean, you've got new hot stars that you're not really seeing anywhere else. Like when I think Impact, Jordan Grace comes to mind. Like I've said it before, man, I think she is the next big thing in women's wrestling. I think she has the star power and just the ability to go anywhere she wants and do whatever she wants. I think it does a lot that she's in Impact, but I mean, I think I look at her and I think like that's the next big thing. Like that, like she's the Brock Lesnar equivalent of women's wrestling, like coming in onto the scene. I mean, I know she's been at it a while, but she's young, and her body transformation has just been
incredible,
unreal.
Insane.
So yeah, man, it's no contest for me between the 4. It's full on. Impact is a strong, solid number 3.
I just got it real quick before Sneed or anyone else jumps in. I think what you said about them having the most consistent week-to-week storytelling, even over WWE and AEW, is so true. People sleep on Impact so bad. It's like they have this stigma that they can't fully shake off, that people won't fully invest in them. But man, week to week, they do have like consistency. I would say AEW and WWE, their peaks are higher than Impact's peaks.
For sure.
But Impact doesn't have the valleys that AEW and WWE have in their booking too. Like they just kind of stay, you can always depend on them giving you something. And I mean, Josh Alexander, he's got to be in the top 5 most impressive champions right now. I mean, the guy's crushing it. So I will say MLW, man, they have a chance to kind of close that gap with Jacob Fatu, Alex Hammerstone. They got Second Gear Crew with Matt Justice, one called Manders coming in with Mance Warner. They got Enzo feuding with them. They've got a bunch of young talent. I think they shoot really interesting angles too. So, but yeah, I just had to say that about the Impact because it's so true. People sleep on them.
Yeah, this was tough. I went through the 4 of these, because again, with like you guys, I went North American because if you go international, it almost seems obvious that it's going to be New Japan. I think that, just on talent sharing alone, I think you can go with New Japan because of the fact that everybody wants their talent to come to their promotion. I
didn't count NXT or ROH either because they're under the banners of AEW and WWE. I took them off the table.
Yeah. But Chad, you made a good point before the pandemic. I would have said NWA.
Yep.
Hands down, no question. It probably wouldn't have even been close. They were hitting on everything for me before the pandemic. I would sit in my car at my old job on my lunch break. I'd take my lunch break at 6:05 to watch their YouTube show live. And, I don't know what happened after. They're just not hitting on their booking for me right now. GCW, you can make an argument for them because, you're going to find something there. They do so many different styles so well. If you're a deathmatch fan, you're going to get that. If you're, no matter what style it is, you're going to get what you want there. And they have a lot of young stars too.
They just don't build story enough for me. It just seems like I need story if you're going to be a top promotion.
With them not having week-to-week story and not having storylines to follow, I can't put them at number 3. I'm going to go Impact because of the weekly TV and the fact that they have consistent storytelling over there. I'm going to make a prediction, though, that MLW is going to take them over as that number 1 spot. And I think within the next 6 months to a year, MLW is going to be a clear number 1.
That's a bold prediction.
I think they're going to be a clear number one.
As long as they don't lose Jacob Fatu and Alex Hammerstone, they definitely have a shot.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm kind of with you guys. You know, I know this is a debate show. I don't feel strongly enough to have a debate. It's just more like a discussion because each company has something that you could argue. Like with GCW, you know, they are the cool wrestling for the wrestling fan. They're traveling all over the country, and they've even done Japan. And you look at these, you buy their pay-per-views or you see their posts on social media, and these buildings are packed out. I'm not sure how much the other three are really touring, but GCW is somewhere every Friday and Saturday in full. Then you've got Impact, like you said, with the history and just a super stacked roster and a super great product that definitely not enough people are seeing. Like you said, Josh Alexander is a stud. They've got Ace Austin there, who's an absolute stud, and numerous others. Then on top of that, you've got MLW, and I didn't realize, I heard an interview with Court Bauer. He was on the Jericho show this week.
I listened to that.
I listened to the big stars after I listened to you guys, but I was lucky enough to catch Court on Jericho this week. I didn't realize Stars is a top 25 cable network. And I've read some other stuff that just in the last few weeks, they're already beating Impact, and they've got, you know, the big badass heavyweights like the Hammerstone and the Fatu that could catch a casual viewer's eye. Somebody just flipping through the channels and see these big boys going at it. Not only that, we talked about GCW being cool. Well, now MLW has, like you said, Second Gear Crew, the Mance Warner, Manders, Justice, and MLW. So they're, you know, I don't know if I'd call them number 3 today, but I'm like Sneed. I think they're coming hot. They may take it within the next few months.
I'm with you, man. I think they could even, this Second Gear Crew thing almost makes me like pause for a second and be like, damn, if Second Gear Crew is a funnel from GCW to MLW, where some of those GCW guys can get more exposure in MLW, that could be huge for that company.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. I guess if I were pressed to choose one today, I may go with Impact because it is such a great product and such a great roster. But I'm really having fun watching MLW come along as well. And GCW, of course, is doing their thing. And we could keep going. I watched the Revolver show this weekend, and the last several that I saw pictures from, they are absolutely packed, and their rosters are stacked up too.
Yeah.
I think it just speaks to how well wrestling's doing in general that we can even have this debate. I mean, there's a lot of thriving companies right now, and that's exciting.
Yeah, 100%. It's a good time to be a wrestling fan. There's too much. If you wanted to watch all of it in a week, I don't think you could and still hold down even a 20-hour a week job.
Yeah.
Yeah. Another thing with MLW, they got the Von Erichs. They've got that generational talent too. The Von Erich tag team. That's a great pedigree to have in your company.
Yeah, and like you said, Enzo's there. Calvin Tankman is there, who's a stud.
Yeah, he is.
I mean, they're loaded up top to bottom too.
Yeah, man, Enzo on the mic, man. That dude is almost untouchable on the microphone.
I like that they're shooting old school angles too, because they had a couple weeks ago they had Mance Warner run over Enzo with a car in the backstage area. It was great. Like, it's not just. I feel like sometimes up and coming promotions want to lean real heavy into the wrestling, but it's like, you know, you do want, as fans, you do want a little bit of that sports entertainment. That goes all the way back to NWA with, you know, Dusty getting his arm broken by the Four Horsemen. You know, we like that stuff. That's the stuff that really pulls us in.
Oh, wrestling's great, man, but you have to sports entertain me.
Yeah.
Need that story.
Yeah.
Everybody talks about the sport-based presentation, but man, give me some wrestling every now and then.
Yeah, dude. I'm with you, man. That you have to. That's the stuff. You know, it's such a cliche thing to say, but you always hear people say it's about the moments, not the matches, or not the moves. It's about the moments. It is. Those moments burn into your brain.
Yeah, you know, and that, you know, I give them a lot of shit, and I'm not the biggest fan, but Danhausen does that really well.
Oh yeah.
You know,
that's what he's there for.
He does that really well. And I give him a lot of shit, but he does sports entertain me.
Yeah. Danhausen's, I mean, you can't hate on Danhausen. He does have a massive following. People love Danhausen, and he entertains.
He drew well for you, didn't he, Derek?
Oh, he killed it for us. I mean, we had people. I think that show we sold tickets in 9 states.
Oh wow!
And a lot of people when they specifically mentioned.
Yeah, there were people lined up to McCorkle Avenue for that.
Yeah, that line was crazy.
Yeah, that provided me with a really weird wrestling moment. So Danhausen and I checked into the hotel room into the hotel. We had adjoining rooms. And I'm laying there in the bed, just kind of, trying to get my mind right to go finish setup for the show and everything. And I'm listening to Danhausen. He was on the Jericho podcast that week. And I was listening to him on there, and I thought, oh, man, I better turn this down. I don't want him to hear me across through the wall, lifting it on the podcast. I can't let
That would be a real... Is that me coming from that room?
Yeah, what's he listening to over there?
Man, yeah, there's so many good promotions right now. Colton, I think you said it best. I don't think you could watch it all in a week and be able to do anything else.
And even if you were able to, then you've got the A&E biographies that are on.
Yeah,
it's insane.
And Tales from the Territories. I mean, you don't have to ever stop wrestling if you stop watching wrestling if you don't want to. And
yeah, it's an insane amount of content, man. And as big a wrestling fan as I am, I like other shit too. I gotta get other stuff in.
It's safe, dude. It's safe. If it would have been like this when I was 13 years old, though, dude, wrap it up. I probably wouldn't have had any other interests because, I would just be watching wrestling. But I can't stay on top of all of it.
I probably wouldn't know how any other professional sports work rules or anything like this was happening when I was in my younger days.
You catch a and it's why aren't they hitting them with chairs? I don't. Where's the chairs? All right. Does anybody have any final thoughts on this before we move on?
Nope.
No.
All right. Well,
all I'll say real quick is if you're listening and you kind of find yourself just taking in the WWE or AEW product, venture outside of it every once in a blue moon, man. There are promotions that will grab you. It's like anything. You got to give it a little bit of time to get to know the players. But I think any of the promotions we mentioned is worth at least putting some eyes on it and seeing if it's up your alley.
Absolutely, man. All right, guys, we'll move on to the final topic of the evening. Did WWE need Cody Rhodes?
Yes. I think they absolutely needed him. Now, are they going bankrupt without him? Of course not. But did they need him? Dude, that was a breath of fresh air for them. They had exhausted all feuds for Roman Reigns, in my opinion. And I get Seth Rollins has his number. I mean, are we just going to keep recycling 2 former Shield members? I feel like that needs to be put on ice for a while. And if Seth Rollins returns into Roman's orbit at some point in the future, it will be bigger and better for it. It's like John Cena and Randy Orton. They wore that out where towards the end, no one gave a shit when they had matches. I think this was the first big signing WWE had, a first big return of someone coming from the outside that they're not repackaging in any way since AJ Styles. They don't do this a whole lot anymore. You don't see
music.
Yeah. Yeah. They don't bring in a guy with his music, with his look. They usually bring them in, repackage them in NXT, build them up. And even a Samoa Joe. I mean, Samoa Joe came in as Samoa Joe, but he went to NXT. You know what I mean? It wasn't like this big, I'm entering the main event level scene in WWE. That is so rare. And I think they knew this was coming off the heels of AEW scooping up all of the people that they wanted to go after, and bringing them and having all these splash moments on their weekly TV of, oh my God, he's here. Oh my God, she's here. You know, WWE was losing out on those moments. So in my opinion, this is 100% they needed a moment like this. And Cody Rhodes happened to be that big splash. And they've got a guy now where, honestly, like if they really wanted to, it's all a choice for them. But if Vince McMahon or Triple H or whoever's calling the shots over there now, if they wanted to put the machine behind Cody Rhodes, I truly feel like you could have your next John Cena. I'm not saying he's as charismatic or anything. I'm saying the machine dictates who gets that spot.
Yeah.
And I think Cody has it in him to do that for them.
Yeah, I gotta agree with you, Chad. Not to keep doing that all night. Like we said, it's supposed to be a debate, but WWE needed Cody, especially for me, man. Like I was pretty tuned out to it for the most part before he made his return, and I'll never forget that Mania entrance. Like, I mean, I think you really said something there when you said, you know, they didn't try to repackage him, they didn't change anything. Like, they saw what he was doing in AEW, and they're like, that's what we want, and they don't ever do that. I mean, maybe the closest they've come with that in the last 10 years is when AJ Styles came through. But
yeah,
still, I mean, he's still, you know,
he's not
a little bit of molding there. He's not the same.
Yeah.
He's not Bullet Club AJ Styles, you know,
right.
He's but yeah, I mean, and I think honestly, it gives AEW's product a lot of legitimacy by the fact that they did that.
100%.
That it says, oh man, like, yeah, we want that guy back. We, you know, didn't know that this is what he could be or what he was doing. And, you know, I think it gives them a lot of legitimacy there, man. I mean, I hate to give that old egg-sucking dog Hawk any credit, but when you guys did your did the predictions for the coming year, and he called out that WWE would sign back, would steal a talent from AEW, I don't think I ever thought it would have been Cody Rhodes when he first said that ever. And yeah, I mean, I think he's got potential to be a lot. I'm biased because I'm not a Cena fan, but I think he's got potential to be way bigger than Cena if they put the machine fully behind him correctly. I mean, he's a true white meat babyface, which is something that WWE was kind of lacking at that time. You know, you're kind of going off and doing your. I don't think, you know, at that point when he came back, Seth was like just an outright heel yet. I don't know if you can ever make Seth just an outright heel, but I mean, even with some of your other top guys like KO, like KO's babyface, but he's not a white meat babyface.
Right.
You know, he's still he's got that hard edge to him. He's the everyman. He's the underdog. Like, yeah, Cody is perfect and packaged to be somebody they can send to the moon and beyond. Like,
yeah. Before I answer there, you know, you both had mentioned Cena. I saw a picture today it was 3 different pictures. One was in 2002. It was Hogan at the top of the ramp, holding up The Rock's arm and pointing at The Rock. It was a picture from 2013 of The Rock standing at the top of the ramp, holding up Cena's arm, pointing at Cena. And then there was another picture from 2023 of Cena standing at the top of the ramp, pointing at Cody. So it was
passing of the torch,
kind of a passing of the torch thing. And for me, like, I think I could answer this question yes and no. But I'll say yes, they did, because I don't think that there's nobody that they've built no stars that can legitimately take that title from Roman. They had to bring somebody in to do that, because the closest that they did to that was Sammy, and they're not going to put the title on him. So I think they had to bring in somebody, and the biggest star power to do that is Cody. And for somebody to take the title from Roman, it has to be somebody that big. So yeah, I think they did need to bring him in. But you could also answer no. You know, I went back and forth on answering no, because they do have talent that they could build. They just didn't do it. So
I just think even if they build talent, like you hear Rollins a lot. Rollins could be the guy. He's got Roman's number. He's this. And I love Seth Rollins is one of my favorite guys in WWE, but I'm sorry, if Rollins was the guy to take that title off of Roman after a 3+ year run, that to me is like you're repeating the same problems.
Yeah.
It's a cycle. You had an opportunity to put a new guy in a top position. I just don't think Seth Rollins ending that streak does anything for that company at all. They're both up towards the top of the card. I think to inject the top of the card with a new, fresh champion, that's the way you got to go. And it's just like, it cracks me up that the person who's going to take the belts off of Roman is a guy who built his gimmick in AEW. I love that. It just, I think it's poetic justice in a way for all the fans. It's like AEW is going to be out of business. It's like, oh, really? They just built a star that's going to beat your top guy.
Yeah. I'm definitely with you guys. At the time when he was signed, I wasn't sure that they needed him. I kind of expected him to come in and land somewhere in the upper middle. I knew they were telling the story with him winning the championship that his dad never got. And I thought maybe eventually he gets it and takes it off like a Drew McIntyre or something.
Right.
Like that. You know, I knew he would get it. You could just see it from a mile away. But, man, he has absolutely gotten over big time. And the really cool thing about it is, and this is an original thought because if my buddy sees this is what he said, but I totally agree. The really cool thing about this is that a white meat babyface is this over in 2023.
Yep.
They tried it with Roman and the fans puked it up. They wanted Daniel Bryan. They tried it before with Cena, and that was mixed reactions on that. Even back when it was, Rock was heel and baby. Stone Cold was a baby but worked like a heel. I mean, I guess Hulk Hogan 20, 25, 30 years ago is the last time WWE had a white meat super over babyface on top.
Right.
And I've seen people online a lot of concern that they got to be careful because the fans love Sammy so much, and they do, but man, they love Cody, and it's not just people like us. It's not just the hardcore fans. I mean, you see reports about Cody being announced for house shows and ticket sales going up, and Cody doing merch, and I mean, yeah, at the time I thought it was really cool that they had Cody because I'm a big Cody fan, but I wasn't sure that they needed him necessarily. But now it's Mania season. They've got a huge main event, and Cody's involved. And if he wasn't, I'm not sure who would be. So, yeah, I think they did need him.
They tried it with Cody and AEW.
That's what I was about to say. That's what I was about to say is like he, as much as like diehard AEW fans were kind of like, they felt betrayed. Their flagship leader left and went to WWE. I think that's where he needed to be, man. It shows you the stark difference between the fan base of AEW and WWE. He was doing the same exact gimmick. Look at the promos. Look at the presentation. He was doing everything that he's doing in WWE. He was doing in AEW in the back half of that run, and fans were booing him out of the building. Fans wanted him to be a bad guy because it's a little bit, it's that hardcore base. It's a little bit older. It's the teenagers up into your 20s and 30s that are really watching. Over at WWE, it's families, it's young kids, it's older people, and they love that guy. I mean, look at the kids, the merch. I mean, he exactly what he wanted to be in AEW, he can be in WWE. And I think he saw that. Like his product was for them. So I think he made the right move to go there.
And this is a time where you talk about the machine. This is the first time the machine has aligned with the wrestling fans as well, because the wrestling fans are not puking it up. And it's because Cody's a guy who quit the company, had an indie run, started his own company, talked tons of shit on WWE, and then went back. Like, I mean, I don't know that there's ever been a better story as this guy's real life in wrestling as long as I've been a fan. And I'm 35 years old. I've been watching for 32 of it. And Cody is just an incredible story, and the fans are buying every bit of it, and I'm here for it.
Yeah, I think it's like a movie. It's a movie. His life is like a movie. I love that he's following in his father's footsteps too, of like going and working other places. Like he's not a slave to the WWE system.
Yeah.
And I think
when he was there the first time, how easy it would have been to make he could have just stayed and made more money than we'll ever see.
Yep.
And just happy to be a part of the business and happy to be part of the big show, but he left. Then he goes to AEW, and he would have had a job there forever too, making big money, and and could have been as comfortable as he wanted to be, and left again. I mean, that guy's got big balls.
Yeah.
And it's paying off.
I think he's got like that's a part of his dad where he grew up like seeing that once you burned out a territory, it was time to go, and he felt like he had burned out the AEW territory. I still think in the future he will return to AEW, and I think it'll be one of the biggest stories. Like, they've never had their return. You know, AEW, he was the first big guy they lost, and they've never had that big guy that they've lost come back. And I think it'll probably be years from now, because I think he's going to be the guy in WWE, but I don't think it's off the table that he one day returns to AEW.
I could absolutely see that. It sounds like a real Dusty thing to do. So
Exactly.
I could
Exactly.
Cody's going to have a hell of a book one day.
Yeah, man.
That's going to be a hell of a book to read. Yep. All right, guys. Anybody have any final thoughts before we wrap up for the evening?
I think I want to see the follow through with Cody. Like I'm with you, Colton. Like how you said he put your attention on WWE a little bit. Dude, I was checked out of that company. Did not care. When he came back, it made me like, oh, this is interesting. I'll watch it. You know, I always watch the Rumble and Mania, but as far as week to week, did not care. But now if they do what I think they're going to do and have him beat Roman, I just want to see what's next, because there is a little bit of me. There is a little fear of once that goes away and the bloom is off the rose, there is possibility that fans could turn on him. Like there is that possibility, and that he could be booked into bad situations. So I want to see how it goes after Roman.
Yeah, I'm right there with you. I think WWE does a really good job sometimes of the setup and not always the follow through. I think we've seen it firsthand with Bray more than once, especially right now. So yeah, I'm fingers crossed they're really going to knock it out of the park with this one. They're overdue for one.
I'm not sure we need to be too fearful, because think of what could be coming up. I mean, Cody Orton, there's a story there.
Oh man, there's a lot of meat on.
I want that. I want that bad.
Maybe Roman goes away till SummerSlam. There's a story there when he comes back.
Yep.
And revisit Cody Seth. I think there's plenty for Cody.
I want to see KO make a heel turn. I want to see a Cody KO storyline.
Yeah.
So bad.
I want to see Cody and Gunther.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think it'd be a fun program.
That's ready.
There's so many. And if you'd ask Tom about it, I figure Tom would say that Cody's going to take the belt back to AEW.
yeah, it was all a plan.
All work to Tom.
It was all a plan.
Man, this has been a lot of fun. We've had a lot of good conversation. Derek, tell everybody where they can get tickets to the event this Friday.
So DM us on Facebook, Instagram, or Twitter. We accept seating reservations through PayPal, Cash App, or Venmo. We've got a hot show coming up. We talked about the main event. We talked about the tag title match, but we've also got Cole Carter from AEW, who is also from Charleston. This will be the first time Cole's been back in Charleston since he signed with TV. So Cole Carter's coming home. We've got the debut of Lord Crew, who's been making tons of noise, Casey King. We've got a couple young guys that are already just taking states by storm that are coming from West Virginia. It's going to be, we've got the Beast Man taking on the Natter Day. So if you've ever wanted to see a 400-pound caveman fight two drunk guys, we're going to have that. Should be fun.
Hell yeah, man. Sign me up for that.
Yeah, so just follow us on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. Twitter's been kind of dead. Our Twitter guy dropped off. But you can DM us on Facebook and Instagram for tickets, and we accept all pay services, or you can just buy at the door. We've done really well on tickets so far, but I'm not going to say we're sold out until you literally can't fit another body in there. We're going to pack them in.
Yeah, guys, go check out Pro Wrestling Conquest. Give them a follow on Instagram. One of the better indies, if you're in the tri-state area, Charleston, West Virginia, always puts on a great show. I'm stoked about that Casey King Lord Crew match, man. That's a fun one.
Yeah, that's going to be great. Casey wrote a children's story predicting what would happen in the match. That's on our Facebook. That's a lot of fun. And he attempted to illustrate it, so you got to go to our Facebook just to see that. It's something else.
That's awesome. Yeah, that's going to be a good one. Squeaky Clean versus Lord Crew. Man, that'll be. Yeah, make sure you guys. It's this Friday. It's
March 17th,
7:30.
Yeah, doors open at 6:45. First bell will be 7:30.
7:30, Canal City.
Are
you there? All right. We may have lost Derek.
Yeah, well, March 17th, Friday, 7:30. It's going to be a great show.
Here we go.
There he is.
Hey, Derek, you there? All right, guys. Yeah. So we've
Hell
lost
of a
Derek.
way to close the show.
Yeah, we've lost Derek. That's all right. It's Pro Wrestling Conquest, March 17th. Is this Friday, March 17th?
Sorry about the wait.
Make sure you guys get tickets. That will be the wrap up for this show. Make sure you guys are following us at theturnbuckletavern.com for all of your tavern needs. Normally Tom's spot. Colton, this is your spot now, bud. Get it.
All right, y'all. You can catch me in Acefield Retro on the Turnbuckle Tavern YouTube channels Thursdays at 10 for the new ROH wrap up on Honor Society. So come check us out. We're having a lot of fun over there.
Nice. All right, guys. Court is dismissed.